Welcome to Life Changing Money, a podcast all about one of the most taboo topics in the world, money. I'm your host, Barbara Schreihans, and we're going behind the scenes on business owners' journeys to money, success, and wealth. Let's get started. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Life Changing Money. We have a repeat guest here, Kristen Cantrell. We were just saying, I think it's been 2 years.
It's when you first started.
That was
your podcast, yeah.
Over 2 years ago, yeah.
Uh-huh.
That's wild.
It is wild.
It went by so fast.
It did.
And a lot has changed.
So much has changed.
I don't even know really where to begin. I guess reintroduce yourself to the listeners, because probably some people haven't listened back to episode 5 or whenever you were on.
Okay, so I'm Kristen Cantrell, and I love to create spaces for entrepreneurs to come together and to connect. I'm a big believer in if you build your network, you can build your net worth. And so that's what I do in a nutshell, in a lot of different ways.
And you are the most amazing connector
Thank you.
I've ever met. I'm always if I need someone, I text Kristen. I'm like, do you know someone like this?
I actually love that I'm that person for people. It really fulfills me.
Well, I think when you were on the podcast, you were with EXP.
I was.
And you just recently made a huge pivot in your business. So
Yes.
what was the thought process behind it and how's it going?
Yeah, this is definitely a year of let's just throw out our plans and pivot, and it's been fun and interesting. So I was kind of in a spot at EXP. I had grown my organization to 350 agents, and this year I was actually at 250. I had lost a group of 100. It was a big team that had left to Real, and when they left, my thought process was I looked into Real a little bit and I was well, that was stupid. Why would they go with a company that's a total rip off of EXP? Mm-hmm. And so I just kept working and I just put my head down, worked. One of the things that kept happening for me is I would go out and I'd build relationships with people. And when I would say I was at EXP, it was almost this thing where people were yeah, it's we don't want to be there. I could just see it on their face. I was you know what, I'm going to put that part of my business on the back end. And I'm just going to focus on growing my other income streams. And so I literally did. I put it on the back burner for a whole year. And then
why do you think people thought that?
I will tell you, I've actually asked a lot of people that because people that I had tried to bring to come work with me at EXP then wanted to talk about Real when I moved. And I said, why didn't you want to talk to me when I was at EXP? And it was it's just a big hustle culture. And there's a lot of people I think EXP is a great company. I'll start out by saying that. They have taught me so many things and there's so many great people there. There was a lot of people I think that were very aggressive in their recruiting approaches. And within the company too, there was a lot of division about whose downline you're in. I think the culture just got a little bit sour. And so I think that's where that came from. I know that's where that came from because that's what I've asked a lot of people and they've told me. So yeah, I had it come up again, probably in April, and where I had one of my guys that I was texting with, I could tell through our text that he was thinking about going to Real. So I called him. I'm John, are you thinking about going to Real? And he's dude, I think I am. And that's how he talks. And I'm what the hell? I got to actually look at this company and I've got to see for myself what I need to stop putting my head in the sand. At that time, there was a guy who had just left EXP with an organization of 350 and I didn't know who he was. And he runs a big podcast. It's the number 2 podcast in real estate. And I was I'm going to get on a call with him. And so I did. And I just had, an open mind. And after the call, I was well, that was really good. And I want to go there. And I was but what am I going to do? Because that means so many things. And so that's where it started.
So what steps had to happen in order for you to, that's a huge move. You had hundreds of people under you.
Yeah.
So not only is it a financial decision, but it's also relationships and businesses.
Yeah, and the financial part, I'm never afraid of that part. I always have kept in the back of my head, you have to take a step back to take a step forward sometimes. And so I've done that a lot. And that part, I was I'll figure that out. I'll probably build back that income stream within 6 months. And I just want to focus on, is this the best for me and my agents? And so I definitely, when I would have conversations with them, I would ask them from different perspectives. If we've got solo agents, we've got team leaders, we've got brand new agents. So each one of them was like, hey, we just want to go wherever you go. And so that was like really great to hear that. And I mean, most of them came with me, which was great.
What's been the biggest hurdle?
Definitely leaving the relationships that I had at EXP. For me, like it wasn't, I didn't want to not still be in relationship with people because I left, but that sadly is what happened over the course of how everything happened. And that was, I mean, it literally like I've had to mourn friendships, and that part was really hard.
Something else probably transpired from you leaving EXP as well. Do you want to go into that?
Well, it wasn't that I left. It was how I left, I guess, which I thought I left in a decent way. But everyone's going to have their own opinions. And so something that happened was I had, shown up when I had first had my second son, so I had a 1-year-old and a newborn. I went to people I used to work for. You guys, I worked for them. I was their recruiter. And I said, I really want to attract people to what we're doing. And like, I want to create this space called Moms in Real Estate where we'd have this like consistent mastermind, and I'd be around other moms in the industry. And I was so excited about it. And the people I worked for were like excited about it too. And they were like, we need to think big, and this is going to be a talk show, and you're going to be the host. And so we did. We like totally launched that, and I ended up co-hosting with one of the owners because I was terrified to speak in public and be around, just like have the like light on me was terrifying. So anyway, she was my co-host, and we started a podcast called Moms in Real Estate, and we did it for years. They also started a Facebook group where we would put all of our podcast episodes in there, and that was kind of all we did in there. And about 2 years ago, she stepped out of it. Totally positive thing. She's like, hey, I want to go focus more on marriage stuff, and wrote like a public statement about how excited she was for me and how she's so excited about what she's doing. Talked about it on stage in front of 150 women at our event. And so I rebranded, and I totally went like legit with the podcast. Not that we weren't legit before, but we did not treat it like a business. It was a relationship building like podcast, right? So it was like we wanted to meet women all over the United States. And so when I rebranded, I was like, how can I actually like treat this like a business and like really grow it in the right way? And at that time, I had a girl who reached out to me, and she said, I really love your brand. I'd love to like join in on your Facebook group and help you build it. And I was like, that sounds great. Mm-hmm. The only problem was the old owners I used to work for, they were the admin. He was the admin on the group. And so I'd asked him I'd emailed like, hey, can you get out of the group? It's a little weird. But it was
because a guy in a group that's called Moms.
Well, the wife never had a Facebook page. So it was always like, or Facebook profile at all. So anyways, I was like, you know what, it's fine. Like they would never do anything. Like we're good. Let's just keep building. And this is kind of just me in a nutshell. I like to put off anything like that. And so like I didn't want to think about like hurting their feelings or asking them to leave or like legally like figuring out like dissolving our LLC or any of that kind of stuff. So we just put our head down and worked. So we in less than a year we went from 3,000 people to over 28,000 people
in your Facebook group.
In our Facebook group. And it was because we really we had everyone inviting everybody. We started like showing up every single week. We had like a whole business plan for it, and it just skyrocketed, and we had so much fun in there. So I'd always shown up for the podcast, but now it was like showing up for the Facebook group. And so anyways, still totally fine with the couple that I used to work with. But what happened was I got a text message that was like, hey, I heard that they're taking back over the Facebook group. I'm like, that's weird. I was just texting with her this morning. She didn't say anything to me. So I looked on the admin roles, and I'd seen that 2 people had been added to there. So I just sent a text like, hey, what's going on? Like, are you wanting back in the Moms in Real Estate, like in the Moms in Real Estate business? Like you didn't say anything to me or whatever. And
yeah.
I would have totally been like, cool, like let's figure out what that looks like, you know? No response in a text message, but I immediately got an email that was like, hey, Kristen, we're taking back the Facebook group. We started it when you're an employee of ours and it's ours, and you can continue to do the podcast, which she'd already stepped down from. And I literally like can't even tell you, I feel like someone like, and it was not even about the 30,000 people in the group at all. Like, yes, I did not want that to go away, but it was like just the betrayal that I felt in that moment of like, that was like extremely insane to me that someone could do that and sleep at night. That was my biggest thing. Like, I don't care about all of like, yes, legally, I worked for them when we started it, right? But like, who'd shown up for that brand for 8 years was me. And
8 years.
8 years. And so I was just like devastated. And so, fast forward to right now, which is like 2 weeks ago, you guys. We got the group back.
Yeah.
We got the group back. I'm so happy. So, I tried really hard in that whole process because it was a lot of like hurt and a lot of feelings. I went from feeling like hurt, sad to super angry to I'm done, I'm fine moving forward and pivoting. And
it's like the whole grief process.
It was a whole thing.
Yeah.
And so, but I kept thinking like, where's like the joy and the pain? And it shined a lot of light on me, for me, on a lot of things, on how we could be doing things different. And it also, like, I needed that to happen for me to like fully detach and be on my own, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. And to take my shit seriously.
Yeah, what did you learn?
Yeah, so definitely like setting myself up legally in the right way and having operating agreements and all the stuff that I didn't want to do, I'm absolutely doing moving forward. Which I needed that.
Yeah.
I did need that.
Something else that you started, maybe it was last year, the year has gone by so fast, but...
No, it was this year.
Yeah? Mm-hmm. That you started Business in a Box?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay, it's already taken off so much. But like I've mentioned, she's so good at building and creating rooms that other people from out of town that have been in your rooms were like, how do I do this where I live? And so you've created this Business in a Box concept, and so many people have done it and joined and are creating rooms for themselves. So do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So one thing I always talk to different business owners about, like when they're trying to figure out like what are different income streams that I can do, and I'm like, do you ever listen to your community? And it's been like one of the biggest lessons that I've ever learned is like, what are they asking you for? And so through the podcast, actually, I talked to top producing female real estate agents all the time, and they'd be like, oh, Kristen, I wish there was a Connect and Cultivate where I'm at. And I heard it forever, you guys. And I'm like, okay, like, man, that sucks. And then all of a sudden I had Randy, who does the Facebook group with me. She's a female team leader out of Reno, Nevada. She's like, hey, I want to take Connect and Cultivate to Reno. And I'm like, what does that mean? Like, tell me like more of what you're wanting. And so I just like really like leaned on her to tell me what she was wanting. And I'm like, okay, I can like literally put everything that I've done, 8 years of doing events and building community and learning how to, build a network and put it all together and organize it and sell it as a business in a box so that people could go and take Connect and Cultivate into their local markets, and they could build communities in order to build their businesses and to be more rooted in their communities in their local markets. And so I did that. I launched in February, and we're at, I think, 20 or 21 chapter leaders now. Wow. And it's been like my favorite thing ever. Is
it all agents or people in the real estate industry?
Yeah, we have one esthetician who does it with her sister who's an agent. But it was meant to be for any female entrepreneur who believes in building community, but it happens that it's all real estate agents, which is cool.
What are some of the cities that it's now in so people listening can look?
We're in Houston, Texas. We're in Cocoa Beach, Florida. We're in Jacksonville, Florida. Why am I questioning if it's Jacksonville or not? We're in LA, we're in Colorado Springs, we're in Boise, Idaho. I mean, we have all over Arizona. We have Tucson, Central Phoenix, West Valley.
Is there somewhere they can search?
Yeah, if you just go to connectandcultivate.com, you'll see it.
What's like the number one piece of advice you'd give to business owners to build community?
Just get started. Oh my gosh, I feel like everyone like overcomplicates it. I think it's like the biggest thing is if you want to build community, you've got to start somewhere. So just starting to do something and then coming up with a plan as you go. Like I actually will do a whole 12 months. Like once you start to get like your concept down of like, this is how I want to show up for my community over the next 12 months, we'll identify like specifically, let's talk about the consistency factor. So I always ask, how do you want to show up every month, every quarter, biannual, and annual? So we come up with just those things right away, and then we identify it, and then we go out and we figure out all the rest. So
to me, I'm always like, well, damn, Kristen always meets with so many people, and she's always like at coffee dates and lunch dates, and I'm like, I don't have time for that.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to me or any super busy
Well, I think that if somebody is an entrepreneur, you have to identify how are you meeting new people on a regular basis. And once you meet them, like how are you staying top of mind to them? And so no matter what, all of us need to do that. And for me, it's through the community aspect of it, going to coffee dates. And I am selective with, I used to be like, anybody I'll go to coffee with. Yeah. Now I'm like, hold on, my calendar's so back to back. I got to be careful. But really, like, if you look at it as a lead gen pillar when you're building community, like, you have to do that activity. You can't not do it.
You won't have sales without some kind of community.
Mm-hmm. And you won't have retention. Like, you have to be in community with your clients in order for them to want to stay with you, because there's going to be another esthetician, another tax strategist, another real estate agent that comes along, and it's easy to be like, oh, the next best person, right? So if you can do a good job at building community, it'll bring new people in, and then it'll keep your community plugged in.
I love that. What's like the next big goal for the business in a box?
For the business in a box, I want to go all over the place. So I hope to grow huge with that and have chapters all over. So I think that the biggest goal is just finding amazing women to take the brand and to jump into the community and take Connect and Cultivate in more places.
I'll actually be next week at one of the Connect and Cultivate events in Oregon.
What?
With Kim.
Oh, yes. So Kim is actually one of my coaching clients. So I also coach people on building their own brand. The business in a box is for people that want to take Connect and Cultivate the whole brand. So Kim is Clever Collective.
Got it.
Yep. And it's so cute. I love her whole brand.
Yeah, I'm really excited. Kristen introduced her to me, and so I'm flying up there and doing 2 different workshops for her collective. So I'm excited.
That's so
thanks
exciting.
for the intro.
Yeah, that's great.
What do you want your kids to know about community?
Oh, I talk to them about this all the time. So the way that I talk to my 9-year-old about it is like, his superpower is definitely community building. Like, I can see it. He's just like wants to be friends with everybody, and he's so good at making people feel like seen and welcome. And so I always say, like, the way that I describe community is like, if you are going through anything in life, let's say you're struggling in your marriage, you're struggling with your finances, you're really excited about a job promotion, like whatever it is, when you pull out your phone, do you have like at least 5 people to call in every area? Like, and that's a lot of times the answer is no. You might be sitting there and being like, absolutely not. So for me, I'm like, I want to be able to have like multiple people to call that are going to help me in different situations in my life. And I want to be that person for people. So I really describe it to my kids like you want to find a lot of people that you can call if you're ever in a bind or if you're ever ready to celebrate something. So we just talk about it like building friendships.
Aw, I love that. So do you kind of like pillar people, like this is who I would call for business and this is who I would call for like mom advice? Or
and they cross over for sure. Like one of my best friends is like the worst business owner you could ever imagine. But she's like fantastic to call when I'm like struggling being a mom, you know? And so but like, you know, I would call you for mom advice and business advice. So I just always want to make sure I'm not sitting there staring at my phone if I am like really hurting, you know?
You've just like pivoted so much this entire year. What are you looking forward to in like the next 12 months?
I want to fine tune everything I have. Like I am my human design is a Manny Jenny. So I always want to take on like, oh yes, like I want to do this. I want to do that. I want to do this. And
you're a yes woman.
I am a yes woman. So I'm trying really hard to like go back, like I'm reading Traction again right now and like actually implementing everything so that I have everybody really honed in to like what the big picture vision is so that we can move forward. Otherwise, like when you are a Manny-Gen and you're just like, you know, trying to do so many things, it's really hard to move forward in your business. I feel like I can get stuck. And so I just want to get all my systems in place and all that.
I love that.
Yeah. And I have systems in place all over, but I can use so many more.
Same.
Yeah.
It can always get better.
It can always get better.
No matter how many SOPs or like whatever brand Bible, like it doesn't matter. It's always changing.
Yeah. Next goal is to be you one day.
I mean, you don't want to be a tax strategist.
No, but like the whole setup you have.
Oh, thank you. Even just hearing that you have a Facebook group with 30,000 people in it, that's like a whole ass stadium.
Yeah, it's great. And they're like legit girls. Like it was really cool to see that community, how much they had my back when that group got taken away from me and Randy. Like they went nuts. Yeah, and I saw it. I can't tell you how many text messages I saw that said, are we riding at dawn? I'm like, what? I'm like, oh my gosh. So it was cool. You know, there are definitely like some girls that have my back and that are very invested in the community and just a very positive group of girls.
When I think of Facebook groups, and it's just me, but maybe not, I don't know. But when I think of Facebook groups, I'm like, I don't think I'm active in like any Facebook groups.
I'm not either
anymore.
I don't even like going on Facebook.
Yeah, like same. I feel like I'm like, oh, I love going on Instagram, but if I go on Facebook, I'm kind of like, boring.
Same.
So what advice would you give to people to build a Facebook group?
Show up for 8 years and at least do. No, I'm just kidding.
I mean, consistency, I guess.
There's definitely the aspect that the group was there for so long and we were putting the podcast episodes in there. But again, it was like stagnant. Like if I was to post in there, there'd be like 0 likes, 0 views. The advice I would have is you have got to treat it like a business and you have got to show up multiple times a day and engage and provide value. Like and it's like anything. Like even if you have, like I have Circle for my back end community platform. If I'm not in there, it's dead. And so it's the easiest advice. Show up and be consistent.
I know, but it's also the hardest.
It's so hard.
When you're freaking busy, like
I know.
all the time. Even getting on stories nowadays, I'm like, oh, I haven't gone on all day. But that sounds daunting. Even though I know it takes 2 seconds.
Yep.
It's just like being consistent with it.
Yeah.
Just because I know you're like so huge with communities and building communities, you have a really successful podcast that you've done for years. Are there any podcasts that you listen to on a regular basis?
I hate to say no. I'm like so random. Like people send me podcasts all the time and I save them in my notes and just go to those. So that's not like every time I'm listening to this podcast.
Don't feel bad. I don't listen to podcasts.
Okay, I'm like,
and I have a podcast.
Yeah.
Like we're on the podcast right now. But I also don't listen consistently to anyone's. Yeah,
I honestly like the podcasts that I enjoy the most are all about like the food industry and like health stuff, you know? So I'm constantly like feel like people are sending me those and I did just listen to a really good one. Dang it. And I know it was like Tucker Carlson's podcast, but he had on this brother and sister and it was so good. It dove into like everything with our food industry and I just like, it was 3 hours. So it took me like a week to like get through.
3-hour podcast?
Joe Rogan's is like that too.
I know, I couldn't.
I'm like, who has time? But I just did it every so often and it was so good. I wish I could tell you what it was.
What's like the biggest takeaway?
The biggest takeaway was that I only need to shop at the farmer's market.
Yeah, seriously.
I mean, honestly, like try really hard every week to go to the farmer's market.
But then I'm seeing videos, like all these videos lately of like all the freaking parasites and stuff in your like fruits and vegetables.
Yeah.
And I'm like, everything's going to kill us,
everything.
Actually.
I know. Everything.
So I'm like, what do you even pick from?
Yeah. Well, I know. And I feel like that with everything. But it is so nice when you finally get a hold of it and like have like, okay, like I'm going to the farmer's market every week. I'm getting my meat from this place and like just knowing where your food's coming from feels good.
We got back from Europe this summer and everyone knows the food is better in Europe, okay?
Way better.
But I came back and I remember like cooking chicken for the first time when we got back. And let me tell you, like, I am a chicken girl. Like, I will eat it every single day. I was so grossed out at the taste of our chicken that I'm like, what do I even do now? Like, I don't even know where to get my protein because this shit is not real chicken.
It is different at like a local butcher.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Like if you get it from Costco, I'm like, oh my gosh.
That's what it was actually. Okay, I got a Costco rotisserie chicken.
Oh, and have you ever seen the video on that?
Yes.
Okay.
I know.
That was really sad for me. I feel like we just buzzkilled your whole audience.
I know.
Because it's like $5.99 and everyone's like, it's this big, great chicken. No, don't get it.
Disgusting.
So gross.
Is there like a dream person that you would like love to work with or like have in one of your rooms, or like what is, I want to know who your dream person is. Let's manifest
I don't know if this is my dream person, but I definitely like love Jenna Kutcher. I feel like I've learned a lot from her. I've like bought her courses, and I feel like she's such a great example of how like she was a photographer that turned into what she is. And it's like, you can be anything and turn into that. And so I just feel like she's very relatable, and I like her journey. I just feel like I like her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like seeing her health journey.
Me too. That's what I mean. Like she could put in an email, like a face product. I'm like, gold, I'll take it. Like I don't need to go do the research. I know you've done it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what would be, last question, what would be like your biggest piece of advice for business owners if they like feel called to pivot something in their business, but they're scared?
Oh, yeah. So I think, again, like what I was saying earlier, like sometimes you have to take a step back to take a step forward, and that can be financially. But if you can look at like the overall big goal of what you're trying to achieve, sometimes you have to make those in order for it to happen. So like for me, leaving EXP and having like so many people there to think about like rebuilding was like, it was a lot, but I'm like, you know what? Like if I'm in a place where I'm in alignment and like big picture, what I'm building, this like fits, then I've got to do it. Otherwise I'm going to be stuck where I'm at, and I don't like that feeling. So I think just try to really like cast a vision into what you're looking at long-term and just do it.
Just do it.
Nike had it right. I'm always like, gosh, I feel like I'm constantly saying, just do it.
I know. Yeah. No, that's good. Is there a like next room you're creating that you want people in?
I mean, I have one spot left, so I don't even know when this is going to air or anything, but I have my Room Creators Retreat coming up. It will be November 4th to the 7th, and it's in Gilbert, Arizona, which I don't know why I'm so hesitant to do a retreat in Arizona. I think because I always want to be in Florida. But I'm actually really excited for it. So that's all for anybody that's like more on the community building side or looking to be a community builder and a room creator. That retreat's specifically for you. And you can look at it at girlinvestinyourself.com. And any of my retreats are on that website. I always just update it.
And definitely go to her retreats. They're amazing.
Yeah.
They're so fun.
So fun.
And everyone there like collaborates with each other and it just creates like really awesome relationships.
Definitely.
Well, thanks for catching up.
Yes.
I can't believe it's been 2 years.
I know.
And thank you for your time.
Yep, absolutely.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Life Changing Money. Don't forget to subscribe, and I would love if you left a review and shared it with your friends. See you next time.